Okay, let me get the script. Just a second. Okay. Are you all ready to begin?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay. My camera is frozen, but I can still hear everybody. I would like to call the meeting of the St. Louis County Board of Zoning Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Angelia Bills, Chair, Justin Randall, Vice Chair. The Department of Planning staff members are Abby Freudel and Gretchen Arnold. Also on the call is John Burford from the County Counselor's Office. First, I'd like to offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, October 16, 2024. The board hereby takes official notice of and admits into evidence on the record the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 1003, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 is amended, and Chapter 1004, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 is amended. Next, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous BZA meeting of October the 2nd, 2024.
Move to approve the minutes from October 2nd, 2024 Board of Zoning Adjustment.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. This meeting is conducted as a teleconference and is recorded. The planning staff will read each request into the record and present technical advice to the board if needed. The petitioner will be unmuted, state their name, and make a brief presentation to the board, explaining the reason and hardship for the requested variance. The board will not consider financial hardships. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts. When the board is satisfied with the material presented, the chairperson will then ask if there is anyone in favor or opposition to the request. To do so, click the hand next to your name. If any comments were submitted, staff will read them into the record. Before a call for the vote, the petitioner may request a continuance in order to bring in additional documentation. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a visit to the site. Once comments have been heard, the chairperson will call for a vote. At that time, the discussion is ended. No further discussion is permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. Since there are only 2 members at this time, if the board's vote is split 1-1, the request will be continued to the next regularly scheduled meeting when all 3 members are present. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use requested, or the variance will expire. The petitioner or any interested party has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. Paperwork indicating the board's decision will be mailed to the petitioners.
The first petition is 96-24 Union Electric / Ameren. Requests an exception to the side yard and height regulations for the purpose of erecting a cell tower at 18857 US Highway 66, maintaining a height of 259 feet in lieu of 200 feet and a side yard of 200 feet in lieu of 259 feet as required by the NU non-urban district regulations and section 1003157B telecommunication tower regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and CUP number 1001. The petitioner did reach out to the department earlier today requesting that the board continue this petition due to an error in their application that they noticed today.
Do they need it continued indefinitely or just to the next meeting?
Until the next meeting, they're going to revise their application and resubmit it.
Okay. What's the next meeting? Do we have one on the 30th?
That
No,
will be discussed later during your for the good of the order, but if depending on how the board would like to vote on that, it could be it would be November possibly, but it just depends on the board's decision.
I move to continue the application for 96-24 until the next scheduled meeting.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes.
(100-24) Kelsey Leader requests an exception to the side and rear yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a retaining wall and fence at 1254 Spring Lily Drive, maintaining both side yards of 0 feet in lieu of 5 feet and a rear yard of 0 feet in lieu of 15 feet, as required by the R1 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 22,474.
Okay.
All right. Kelsey, I'm going to request for you to unmute. And then Zach, I'm also going to request for you to unmute in case there's questions the board has that you may be able to answer.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I was the petitioner for the property and everything. So
Mhm. May we please have your name?
my name's Zach Wayhart. I'm with
Okay.
St. Louis Hardscape Solutions,
Mhm.
located out here in Pacific, Missouri, 2763 West Osage Street.
Okay. And please state your case.
Yeah, so I encountered the Leader family, I guess a few months ago now, and we were working on a project to put in their backyard, and their main concern was the erosion of the backyard and the steepness of the slope and the shallowness of the slope. And in order to protect that hillside from continuing to erode, we quoted to put a retaining wall back there, which is basically us asking to encroach 15 feet into the rear yard setback, so that we can put that wall in there to stabilize that slope, because it's a pretty significant drop off. It's close to 12, 14 feet tall in some areas back there. So what it does, it creates, you know, a super shallow lot where they literally aren't able to have anything in their backyard as far as a patio. I mean, they have a small patio and a small deck, and there's just literally no room. So I think the idea started, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelsey, that the next door neighbor to the right of their house, I'm not sure exactly what direction that is, but on the right hand side of the design we're looking at, did a project similar to this, and in order to help with, you know, leveling the space back there and gaining some usable ground. And obviously we've heard the horror stories about the you know, not going through with, you know, exactly what we're doing right now, getting a variance and everything. And we try to do everything we can to stay on the up and up with the, you know, with the code and everything else. And that's why I kind of talked to the leaders and said that this is what we need to do. We went as far as getting engineered drawings so that we could see exactly how big that wall is going to be back there, and as well as, you know, the reinforcement that's involved, because they're going to be putting a pool in at some point. So, but yeah, it's a super shallow lot. And as you can see right past that fence line, I mean, the picture really doesn't do it justice right there either. It's a pretty significant slope right there, but then it just completely drops off. You can see in that picture to the right hand side where the wall is next door. And that's basically what we're asking to do, is exactly the same thing as the next door neighbor to the right. So, and you can see from that picture, you can't really tell, but you've got, you know, it's about 10 foot right there. That wall, it goes from zero to drop off the face of the earth, and real quick and in a hurry. You can kind of see the erosion where there's a lot of rock and everything too in between the fence and that retaining wall. And, you know, obviously the whole purpose of putting that retaining wall is to basically stabilize that slope and help make it to where it's not going to continue to erode over time, because they're planning on staying here for a long time and enjoying this space. And, you know, part of that is, you know, making sure that this thing isn't just going to continue to wash and lose all their yard because of the slope back there and the shallowness of their lot.
Okay.
And the petitioners, Miss Leiter did say in the chat that several neighbors on their street have put in retaining walls. So
Yeah,
similar to the one on the right.
I think it's not allowing her to unmute for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't allow people in the attendees. I have to request to unmute. But
no, it's actually kind of funny. I literally did an estimate like 6 houses down today, because my wife was like, she's like, yeah, I think you're going to the same street as the leader's house, and it's literally same type of project. So we'll probably be having to put in another thing for a variance because that hill is, I mean, it's a billy goat track back there all the way along that side of the street. So it's super, super steep, and it creates shallow lots for, you know, everybody there, because it just makes the usable space like literally nothing. And you can see from the size of that fence, those are 6-foot panels. So about, you know, 8 foot past that little planter bed right there. And that's all going downhill with about a 3-to-1 slope right there. So it's pretty much unusable too. But I mean, that literally that whole hillside is unusable. So.
Mhm.
And that backs up the common ground, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner's rep so the board can take a vote. This is BZA 100-24.
Okay. In the matter of 100-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised, the hardship being the steep slope that's behind the yard, and also to increase safety.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you.
(101-24) Francis and Cindy Fajarski requests an exception to allow the construction of a 36-foot by 56-foot detached garage and maintain the existing building with an overall 2,208 square feet of aggregate detached structures, which are more than half the footprint of the primary residence at 12805 Bellfountain Road, as required by Section 4 of the R2 Residence District Regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
All right, Cindy, I'm going to request for you to unmute, just state your name and then proceed with your case.
Okay, I'm Cindy Fajarski. My husband Frank is here with me also. And it's pretty simple. What we're requesting is we'd like to build a 3-car garage with an open end, which would, the roof would extend and the end would be open for patio access so that we can be in the shade. As I stated in my letter, I've had been treated for skin cancer on my face, and our patio currently is in the sun. So we like to put our patio furniture underneath the open end of that building. And we have 4 cars here now, and the attached garage that we have on our house is only big enough for 1 car to be housed in. So that's really what we're requesting. It's pretty simple. I mean, we've had hail damage before on all of our vehicles because they're sitting out in the open, and we're just trying to make the house so that as we age, we can stay here longer. And that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
It's going to be a Morton building, so it's going to be a nice building. It's going to be 21 feet 6 inches from the property line. We had a stake survey done last year by TBD Design Group, and I guess that's it.
And how are they for lot coverage?
For what do you mean for lot coverage?
Lot coverage, like the percentage of the lot that's being filled. That's a question for the staff.
They don't need a lot coverage variance. They're under the 7%.
Okay, they're good. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions?
Is the existing shed going to remain as well?
Actually, we'd like to take the shed down, but we have a riding mower in there, a push mower. Our property is, I think, like 93 or 9. It's almost an acre, and so we have a few items that we maintain. You can see our garden in the back. It looks pretty rough now, but we have a lot of yard equipment. Like I said, the riding mower. We have a thing that pulls behind the mower that we pick up our leaves and sticks with. So yeah, I'd like to take the shed down because we've had it for a while, and it needs some repairs to the little ramp and stuff. But if we can build the garage, then we can put everything inside there.
Okay. Staff, does that change if they get rid of that? Does it still exceed the 50% of the house?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Also, just for clarification, staff, we did receive letters from neighbors on this one. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. You should have received 3 letters. 2 came to you this morning, 1 came yesterday afternoon when I sent documents to you all.
Okay. Thank you.
John, this may be a question for you. Do those become part of the record, or do we need to read those in, or what do we need to do with those letters?
Mel, I believe they become part of the record.
Okay.
Yes, yes. After we forward them to the board members, they're added to the file.
Okay,
They're
perfect.
part of the record.
Thank you.
And they will be accounted for in the minutes as well.
Okay, is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
So I know we have 2 of the neighbors on the call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the petitioner at this time, and then I will unmute each individual neighbor, and we'll see if they have anything to say or add.
Okay.
So Jean, I'm going to request for you to unmute on your phone. It might be like *6. Let's see here. And then while we wait on Jean, Stephen, I'm going to request for you to unmute as well. Oh, Stephen, never mind.
Jean,
There's Jean. There we go. Go ahead, Jean.
I was just concerned with the slope along the side of where they're proposing this building. I already get a large amount of storm runoff from their home and their existing driveway. And I believe that this much more of a footprint of a building is going to cause even more problems with erosion on that hillside. The hillside is actually theirs, but all the water will be coming to my property. And as she stated, as Ms. Fajarski stated, this was set back 21 feet. But if you look at the actual plan, it shows it at 10 feet from the property line, which would be partially on that slope. So if their plans don't match what is actually being told, then somebody needs to come out and actually visually see this.
Staff, can you put the site plan back up, please?
Yes.
It shows the corner of the building coming 10 feet from the property line.
Staff, does 10 feet meet the required setbacks of the zoning classification for this property?
Yeah, the residence districts have a smaller side yard.
Okay.
Mr. Link, just wanted to clarify.
Oh, I'm sorry, Justin. This is Mr. Gene Hecker.
Oh, sorry.
Apologies.
Hi, Gene, just wanted to clarify for you that if it meets setbacks, then we don't have any jurisdiction over that. The only thing that we can look at is the size of the building. So I just want to give you a heads up on that.
No, you're telling me that all of their runoff, which I've already had problems with, can come onto my property and cause erosion on my property.
All I'm telling you right now is that we don't have any say over the 10-foot setback. If it meets code,
I
it
would not
meets
have,
code.
I would not have as much opposition if they moved it back at least 25 or so feet from the property line. But I am opposed to it. I think it's rather excessive in size. Like I say, they have a car garage already, which is actually a 2-car garage. And like I say, I'm already having issues with runoff. And I think that, it needs to be either moved back or some type of wording put in there to make sure that their runoff doesn't come to my property. That's all I'm asking for.
Right. I'm going to move, if that's all you have, Mr. Hecker, I'm going to move to the next citizen we have on. Stephen, I'm going to request for you to unmute. We'll give it a second. Stephen, if you would like to say anything, would you please accept the request to unmute? Thank you. Okay, there he is.
All right. Yeah, I was here. Like I had said earlier, Gene had a doctor appointment today, so I was kind of here. I was going to fill in for him. But he pretty much covered everything that I was going to cover.
Okay.
So I would say that would be all for me.
All right. Thank you. That's all we had for public comments.
Okay.
Would you like for me to unmute the petitioner if you have any further questions?
I don't have any further questions. Do you,
I
Justin?
do. Well, did she state that it was 21 feet or is it 10?
Yeah, they said 21 feet.
Okay, can we bring her back on to just
Yes.
get clarification?
Of course. Cindy, I'm going to request for you to unmute again, please.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I looked at that picture of the site plan, and honestly, the Morton building man that we're purchasing this from, his name is Chad Rupert. He contacted me last week, and he was in contact with Cindy Helton, and he told me that he had revised that site plan because it is 21 and a half feet from there. He said that he had put in there 10 feet and he had to revise that. Now, I don't know if I know I spoke to him this morning and he said that she did receive that. He thought, but I guess it didn't go through to you all. But we've got flags out here, and honestly, any of the neighbors can come up here and see the flags. The flags, you can see the little white flags where the building is going to be. And it is 21 and a half feet from the property line.
Madam Chair, if I may, I do see in the permitting portal that a revised exhibit was submitted to the Public Works team today. So it would be an option for the board to consider holding this item to clarify some of these before the next meeting.
I agree.
I'll make a motion. Is it okay to make a motion at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue 101-24 based on some new information to the next available meeting.
Yeah. I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes.
(102-24) Ken Buchart requests an exception to the side yard regulations for the purpose of replacing a deck and stairs at 9828 Briarstone Drive, maintaining a side yard of 0 feet in lieu of 6 feet as required by the R4 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance.
Roger, I'm going to request for you to unmute. Please just state your name for the record and then proceed with your case. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Roger, you can proceed with your case.
Yeah, so I am been asked by the client to build a deck replacing one that was currently there that actually fell off the house. And so if you look at the site plan, I drew the deck, the new design of the deck, but if you see the where it says edge of deck 0.7 north, there was an existing deck there that fell off. It rotted. So there's a side entrance to the house. And so we're just replacing that with a new deck. Yeah, he threw a set of stairs on there just to get out of the house until we could build a new deck.
Okay, so you're basically replacing it in the same area.
Correct. Yes.
And it's the same size as before?
It's actually 6 inches shorter. So
Okay.
yeah, so he had steps that actually went onto when you walk down the steps, you would actually have to walk into the neighbor's yard. New design actually puts a set of stairs going forward and a set of stairs going back, so he doesn't have to go onto the neighbor's yard.
Okay. Okay. And this is the side door for the house?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions? You're muted, Justin.
Sorry, I don't think I have any.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so the board can take a vote. This is 102-24.
Okay. I believe that's me. 102-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised, and the hardship just being the need to replace the stairs and deck on the side of the house.
I will second that.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes.
(103-24) JVP Rentals requests an exception to the front yard regulations for the purpose of replacing stairs at 9449 Kirchner Avenue, maintaining a front yard of 6 feet in lieu of 20 feet as required by the R5 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. I don't believe we have a petitioner on for this request at this time.
No, we do not.
Do we want to look at it or
Continue it.
continue it?
Mhm.
Okay. This is 103.
Yes.
103-24, I recommend, or I make a motion to continue to the next available board meeting.
I second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
(104-24) James Helmig requests an exception to the front yard regulations and to allow the construction of a 50-foot by 30-foot detached garage and maintain the existing buildings with an overall 3,801 square feet of aggregate detached structures, which are more than half the footprint of a primary residence at 13041 Lake Ridge Drive, maintaining a front yard of 1 foot in lieu of 25 feet, as required by Section 4 of the R2 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. We do have a staff report for this petition, but Gretchen is going to unmute the petitioner first to give his presentation.
Okay.
All right, James is going to send you a request to unmute, and then just state your name for the record, please, and proceed with your case.
Okay, I am trying to put a garage on my property. The side setbacks I'm behind. The reason I'm wanting to put the garage there is there's an existing small concrete pathway there. The main reason for the garage is to protect cars from hail damage and vandalism. There has been an increased volume of people walking up and down checking door handles on cars. I have antique Porsches that are from 1980s that are 928s and 944. I don't plan on doing anything with the building as far as for the public or to maintain other people's cars. It's basically to shelter my cars. I've had several hail claims in the past on my other vehicles because I currently don't have the efficient parking. I'm over 1.5 acres. The other two buildings on the left rear is actually a stable. It is meant for horses, not for parking cars. My intent when I bought this was to have a house that I could build a garage and then also do the horses. And then the other building across from that is an equipment shed, such as lawnmowers and stuff and tractors that I use. We're in a private subdivision. We technically own the road. I am the president of the association, and by being that, I am the one who has to go out and plow the road when it snows, ices, or whatever with my own equipment. We don't have equipment. We're like 24, 25 houses. We actually own the property in the middle of the road is actually where our property line is. I had a survey done by Altea to survey the complete property. I'm not building a shack. I'm trying to improve my property. I've taken down the fences, cut trees down, trimmed it, putting up better stuff. This is a high quality building that's being put up with a foundation and footings. I do have a need to put my vehicle somewhere, but I also have a septic that comes out of my house. If you're looking at my home, small concrete thing in the diagram. I don't know if you can see that. On the left side of the home, if you're facing from the street, is actually where my air conditioner sits on. And a little bit closer to the front of the home is actually where my main drain for the septic comes out and then goes into my septic field, which is on the left side and back to the home, almost to the point where the pole stable barn is. So on that side, there's really no way to build the garage without affecting the current septic system and drain field. So that's why I'm asking for a variance. According to what I'm seeing, I am 1 foot behind the front yard, if that's correct. Is somebody there that can verify? Is that what you're saying? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
Mr.
you.
Helmig, your structure should be located behind the green line, is what the zoning ordinance would require.
I understand. That's what I'm asking for a hardship and a variance, because if it was behind that, it would be going over my septic and my sewage drain coming out of my house. It doesn't come out of the back, it comes out of that side. And then I have a drain field that goes all the way down. This house was built back in 1957. That's how at one time this was a big farm and they divided the property up, and that's kind of where it is as far as septic and sewage is. So I don't know exactly. This is my first time doing something like this on video call. I didn't know we should take pictures and all that, but that is what I'm asking for. I've sent building plans in. I'm not building the building. It's built by a professional company that's going to be building it. It's going to be a steel structure building. It's going to be a nice looking building. It's not, it will have 4 garage doors in the front to open and close, get the vehicles in, to protect my vehicles and be able to store vehicles and alleviate the issues. I'm an unincorporated St. Louis County. Prior to buying this land, I inquired about this, and apparently the law had changed after I purchased it, which I didn't know that it changed until just recently when I was trying to do this. However, it is what it is. I've been asked to tear down the other 2 buildings. I would rather not tear down the other buildings because that's where I store the tractor and other things. And I would like to go back to getting a horse once I get the fence and everything rebuilt and make the property back nice again. I don't know if there's a question or anything that I can say or help that will help sway you. I'm not trying to do anything, but other than get a garage built that I've been kind of working on for months, and I know the house is smaller, but I have 5 current Porsches right now and an antique truck that I would like to protect. There was a new walking bridge and thing that went over right before our subdivision, and it dead ends at our subdivision. And not only me, but several people have caught on camera, additional people now walking down, trying doors all the time. I've lived there since 17 and didn't have this problem until after the walking bridge as much as I do now. And we're just I'm trying to protect my vehicles. Trying to do this the right way by going ahead and trying to get approval ahead of time, and moving the building all the way back would block my septic and sewer. And that's just, I don't see how that's a good idea. So I'm asking the board for a variance to build this. And I guess from where I see my property line, I'm 26 feet back, but it's not in the front yard property line. That's in the roadway easement, which I guess is just an easement for, I don't know, the roadway belongs to us. I'm not really sure why it's labeled that, but that's what I understand. So I know that I probably haven't made this very clear. I'm not real good at speaking in front of people, but
You're fine. You've done a good job explaining what you want to do.
okay.
I don't
Thank
have any
you.
questions right now. Mel, were you gonna present your staff report?
Put the petitioner on mute, and then if we'll allow Mel to speak, and then if we need to have a rebuttal, we'll allow that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're good to go, Mel.
Thanks. Will you go to the next slide? So, as the board knows, anytime that you're considering issuing a variance, there's 4 criteria that need to be met. The issuance of the variance must be in harmony with the general intent and the purpose of the zoning ordinance and other county codes. Issuing the variance should not seriously adversely affect any adjoining property or the general welfare. Issuing the variance should be alleviating a demonstrable and unusual hardship that's tied to the unique nature of the piece of property in question, and the issuance of the variance should clearly not serve as a mere convenience to the applicant. So the background for this request, if you can go on, Gretchen, is about what the zoning ordinance says about accessory structures. All of the R residence districts have a limitation on accessory structures that they shall not exceed 7% of the lot area. And then the ordinance also lays out that the accessory buildings should be customarily found in conjunction with the primary use, reasonably necessary incident to the primary use, clearly subordinate to the primary use, and serves only to further the successful utilization of the primary use. In this case, the primary use is a single family home. However, that that's what's in the code. In 2017, the zoning enforcement officer adopted an interpretation of that piece of code to limit detached accessory structures to basically a 3-part test, either 400 square feet in area, by right, 50% of the footprint of the primary structure, whichever is greater of the two of those. However, the accessory structure should never exceed 1,000 square feet in size, regardless of the size of the home or the size of the lot, and that all the structures shall be shorter than the primary structure and clearly subordinate in nature. This is because the intent of the R residence districts and their regulations are to further the development and stabilization of secure neighborhoods, increasing and maintaining the residential quality and character of those neighborhoods. So if you can go to the next one, Gretchen. First, I want to talk about the setback variance that's requested. The lot is of a rectangular shape without significant topographical anomalies. The septic field is not shown on the plan that was submitted to the county, so we don't have really an analysis that takes that in because that was not shown on the plan. But what we would note is that this is a large lot. There are other areas where the septic field does not exist, where this structure could be located to meet the front setback from Lake Ridge Drive. Further, the primary structure itself is 40 feet from the road, and we find it is not consistent with good planning practice for an accessory structure, especially of this size, to be located closer to the road than the primary structure. The size and design of the structure as a tall metal building is visually incompatible with the character of Lake Ridge Drive, which is, as stated, a low-intensity private road developed with single-family homes, mostly on lots of at least an acre in size. So the large structure located in front of the residence would appear non-residential in character. So we are recommending denial of the requested setback variance. As stated and as shown in the request, the proposed structure is greater than half the footprint of the home on its own, but even the two existing accessory structures, their combined size also exceeds 1,000 square feet. So this would essentially double the size of detached accessory structure square footage on the property. Additionally, and this goes more with the character of the building, this is a metal building with 4 roll-up doors and metal siding, and isn't typically what we would expect to see in the front yard of a single family home at this scale. So we are recommending denial of the oversized accessory structure request as well. So we did see in the application that the petitioner noted they wanted to store vehicles in the building at this location because it's closer to the home than the rear portion. That is merely a convenience. We also find that the petitioner has not demonstrated an unusual land use based hardship unique to this subject property. And further, the request is not in harmony with the intent of the zoning ordinance, which encourages the creation and maintenance of stable and enduring residential communities by establishing limitations on the use and character of development of land. So our analysis yields that this request has not met the standards for issuance of variance, and we do recommend denial. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Are we going to bring back the petitioner for rebuttal now?
I can if you guys would like.
Sure.
It's not, I would just caution the board that if you have further questions for the applicant, that is what that portion of time would be for.
Okay.
I've given my recommendation, so.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Do you?
I don't believe I do at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
There are no hands, so the board can take their vote whenever they would like. The petitioner is muted. This is 104-24.
Okay. 104-24, I vote to deny the variance.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. So the motion passes. The request is denied.
We do have one item in for the good of the order for the board this afternoon. It's a proposed amendment to your schedule for the remainder of 2024. It's just reflective of staff changes due to Debbie's retirement and Gretchen serving as the interim BZA coordinator, and then an anticipated drop of variance requests for the end of the year. So the department is recommending an amendment to your schedule, which would cancel the October 30th meeting, move the November 13th meeting to November 20th, and remove the December 18th meeting from your agenda. So there would be one meeting in November on the 20th and one meeting in December on the 4th.
Okay, sounds good.
And I believe this would require a motion.
Yes.
I move to amend the schedule as presented by staff.
Okay, I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.
Okay, I think that's everything we have for you.
Okay, thank you guys. Take care. See
I'm-
you in
Have a
2
good one.
weeks.
I'll
Oh,
make
we gotta
a-
move to
I'll make a
close.
Oh, yeah.
motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it. I saw John Burford looking. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.